So you're thinking of moving to Medford, New Jersey, but you want to know the pros and the cons or the good and the bad about everything that's going on around Medford before you make that decision. That's exactly what I'm going to cover in today's video. I'm going to bring on a special guest that lives in Medford and has been there for years, so you can hear all the details about everything that Medford has going on. And we're going to get started right now. All right, if this is your first time on the channel and you want to know everything about living in South Jersey, then subscribe below and tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to know every time we send out updated information about South Jersey. My name is Matt Curcio with Curcio Partners at Real Broker. We get calls and messages every day from people like you looking to make their move in the South Jersey market, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're moving in 5 days or 5 months, give us a call, send us a text, or send us an email. All of our information is in the description below. So as I mentioned earlier, we're going to share a bunch about Medford. I'm going to bring in my special guest and we're going to get started right now. So we're here and I brought on Matt, who happens to live in Medford now. So we're going to share his experience with Medford and everything around it. But first and foremost, not sure if you know, Matt, but Medford is actually almost 40 square miles. So it's an enormous town with over 24,000 residents. How does it feel? You know, I know 40 square miles is big, but in general, does it feel congested at all? Are there overpopulated parts, maybe around Medford Village, or not so much?
Yeah, so I mean, Medford is known for the trees, the wilderness. You know, a lot of people just love to go out there to get away from bigger city and overpopulations. But that being said, they have normal neighborhoods. Historic Medford Village is a little bit more condensed, so it's kind of a little bit for everyone. Whether you want to get away from people, maybe more sparse, bigger lots, it has that. But then again, there's other parts of the town that more condensed.
Gotcha. So we'll get into Medford Village and the main street and everything in a little bit here. So overall, pretty good, spread out town. Schools. Let's talk about schools. You grew up in the area. According to niche.com is where we get a lot of our school data. Shawnee, which is the high school, is rated an A. Middle schools and elementary between A+ to B+. So how's your experience, being from the area?
So I grew up in Mount Laurel, lived in Marlton, now living in Medford, and all those towns, including Southampton, are part of the Lenape School District. I know that from speaking to all the parents, my own experience, my own kids, you can't go wrong, but Medford seems to more of a popularity among all the schools, and everyone that I talk to seems to really love what they have to offer. Really, really nice school system.
Yeah, so you're more in the elementary right now?
Yeah, I have little ones.
So how's the experience there? Kids love it?
I just can't even say enough. It really is incredible. Everyone in there is just so kind and nice, and again, from elementary, and really there's a lot of daycares and preschools all the way up to the elementary, the middle schools. And so I really have never heard a parent complaining about the school system. Besides maybe they want their kids to do their homework a little bit more and get some better grades, but right. I think that's more on the kids.
Gotcha. So good schools always helps and keeps good, it keeps people wanting to move into the area. So we'll get into housing in a bit here, but let's talk about the income. Which would affect housing. According to niche.com again, the average income of the homeowner in there, resident, is about $142,000. How's that seem right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're averaging out, right? There's a lot of neighborhoods in Medford that are higher end. Some of the nicest neighborhoods I would argue in South Jersey. So you have lakefront properties, and you have certain areas. So that's scattered throughout. So that's actually why I kind of like it. There's no good side, bad side in Medford. There's just it's throughout. You have nicer neighborhoods mixed in with some of the mid-level or first-time home buyer type entry-level neighborhoods. But that being said, it all kind of blends together. I'm not surprised that that's the median income.
Yeah, and we actually shot a video where we drive you around Medford, so check that out if you want to see the different neighborhoods and learn a little bit more about that. Let's talk about safety. right? How's the police department and your experience, even growing up nearby? Overall, it's got a good rating. They calculate incidents per thousand, and it's in the top 50% across the U.S. So
Some would argue they're too good.
yeah,
Look, I mean, again, we're talking rural areas, right? There's
Yeah.
not big main roads, so if you're going a high rate of speed through some of these neighborhoods, you're getting stopped. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
Medford has its reputation. With that being said, I've personally had a few situations where I needed the police to get involved. Nothing crazy, but when you call them, they're there, and they make their presence known. I feel very safe. I know that from being a business owner in town and just talking to a lot of other owners and residents, everyone feels like the police department is just second to none.
Yeah. So we're definitely going to say that's a positive of living in town again, because it's especially with that big of a town. I grew up in North Jersey in a town that size, and the departments, it's not easy for them to police that much area, So Medford, I don't know the amount of officers they have on duty, but I would assume they're pretty much overstaffed or staffed enough to handle it.
Yeah, well, with the taxes are pretty comparable, pretty nice there, so I think they're staffed just fine.
Yeah. So all right, so let's talk about outdoors. Medford is known to be off the beaten path, so it's a little bit outside of Marlton and Cherry Hill and all that stuff. So people go there to get away and to have land and stuff like that. So when it comes to being outdoors, let's talk about parks.
Yeah, I think the biggest attraction for Medford is the fact that it backs up to state parks, Warren State Forest, and several other ones. The trails, there are miles and miles and miles of trails all over Medford. So that's going to be your biggest draw. And then secondary, you have Freedom Park, Bob Meyer Field Park, several other parks with playgrounds. If you're in the play, obviously sports, softball, baseball, whatever it is, soccer, they have that. They also have the biggest outdoor dog park in the region, where it's no leash. There's rivers, streams, hiking trails, big fields for your dogs to run around. I know that we've taken our dog for over a decade now to this park, and people come from all over, which again, this is where they're lighting fireworks off. They're having events throughout the year. So a lot of parks, a lot of open space in Medford.
Awesome. And we don't have it around here. I'm the next county, well, 2 counties away. You guys have dirt bikes, right? It's not uncommon to go.
I own a quad. I figure when I moved to Medford, I had to get a quad.
Yeah.
And I have neighbors that have dirt bikes. So yeah, again, we're near Warren State Forest, and there are sand pits and all sorts of trails out there. So if you're into riding, there's even trails for Jeeps and off-road vehicles. Depends, obviously, you don't want to go on certain trails or get stuck.
Right.
But yeah, there's plenty of space if you want to ride.
Awesome. That's not common in South Jersey.
Not common.
Yeah,
That's right.
So that's definitely it. Let's talk sports. Right. So Medford is, again, it's kind of getting away. It's getting further away from Philadelphia, but for professional sports, we do have Philadelphia in the area. What do you think, about 40 minutes?
Sports teams are great. I think over the past 5 to 10 years, we've seen rec leagues explode, in every town, not just Medford, but specifically in Medford. I know that I have friends who have older children, and even adult leagues. There's so much for everyone. So, whether it's lacrosse or, like I said, soccer, baseball, softball, tennis, there's everything you can imagine. So I think the biggest misconception is Medford, you're kind of far out. You're not in the more populated towns like a Cherry Hill, so they're not going to have these types of leagues and amenities. They got it all, plenty to choose from. Women's leagues, you name it. It's really robust sports programs out there.
And so you do have Hartford Crossing. Is indoor facilities or no?
Hartford's outside, but it's turf field across from Lenape High School. So my daughter cheerleads, so we've been out there and a lot. They play football games.
Right.
Beautiful facility.
Awesome. So, and I actually played against in a men's baseball league, and there's a Medford team, and the field's real nice. and I believe it's the Little League complex. So good fields, plenty for the kids to do. And then we are close to Philadelphia, being in Medford. That's about 40.
We even have a skate park.
Oh yeah,
They got the skate park at Freedom Park. So
Yep.
everything you want.
I guess traffic. Let's touch on that. Because people want to know, right? Is it like the towns that get too congested, or is it pretty easy to get anywhere around there?
Look, I think today, for example, if you leave at a certain time, you're going to hit rush hour wherever you go, right? There's only a handful of roads going into Medford, so those roads will get a little bit more congested, but I've never sat more than 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It really isn't that bad. Everything is spread out enough where, despite once or twice a day with the rush hour, you're really not hitting a lot of traffic.
Okay. Shopping. Right. Tell us where does everybody go to get their, food, resources, I guess, like a ShopRite, and then some of the specialty places that you got in Medford.
Yeah, Medford has plenty of shopping centers. They have ShopRite, Acme, local place called Murphy's. And then they have Medford Seafood and some more niche-y stuff going around. Main Street Medford has a lot of antiques and really cute shops, and you're going to find stuff that you're not going to be able to find anywhere else, almost like a Haddonfield type field or Collingswood. So you get that downtown feel, but plenty of shopping, plenty of stores. Look, you're not going to find malls.
Right.
You're not going to find that kind of, but that's not the type of town. If you want that, it's not a far drive to Marlton, Promenade, even Cherry Hill Mall. No big deal for us to get out there.
Right. So overall, they got everything you need, because obviously 40 square miles, that's a big town. So they do have it in the town itself. It's not like some of the other towns where you have to go to the next populated town to get your groceries and stuff like that. And let's talk a little bit about Medford Village, right? It's a great downtown. What are some of the shops that are your favorites, other than the cigar lounge that you happen to?
Yeah, I own a building in downtown, right in the heart of Medford, and I own a cigar lounge in there. So obviously you're interested, you let me know. I'd love to talk to you. It's private, but look, there are certain downtowns that I feel like have gone away. Marlton, for example, has lost their downtown. They just lost Marlton Tavern. They really have nothing. It's just apartments.
Yeah.
So they have Nini's on there. That's about it. Medford is different. Medford is growing. I love seeing the restaurants grow. We have 5 breweries, I believe now. We have a winery. Braddock's Tavern's kind of the staple right on Main Street. And we're talking, these buildings are over 200 years old.
Yeah. And then touching on that, let's talk about restaurants.
So there's plenty of restaurants, bars, there's liquor licenses to go around, a lot of BYOs. You're not going to find any lack of good options in Medford.
Yeah.
So we never really get tired with it.
Awesome. And with that, I guess downtown, what are some of the things that they're doing? It's called Medford Village, right? So
Yeah.
that's what they call Main Street. Parades, food trucks, what kind of stuff do they have going all year?
Car shows, wine events, food trucks. First or the third Thursday of every month, they have food trucks all park up and down Main Street. So any food you weren't getting from the normal restaurants, you're getting them then. And then of course that's bolstering the activity up and down for the shop owners. So they have coffee, ice cream. They have Whole Hog Cafe, Kings Road Brewery, like I said, Farm Truck Brewery, amazing beer over there. Brooke Tidswell, who owns that, is an amazing friend of mine. So I think that you have so much going on throughout the year in events, parades. You have Halloween parade, Dickens Festival during Christmas time, New Year's time. So you always have something on the calendar that you can go to.
Awesome. Yeah, and by the way, we did shoot another video for Medford where we show it on a map. We kind of show you Main Street. We showed the history of Braddock's Tavern, which was really cool to learn. So check that video out too. So let's get into housing. That's our expertise. So Matt's in the mortgage world, and I am obviously in the real estate world. So housing in the town, it's actually I would say in the higher price. The average sales price in Medford is $488,000. Taxes are floating around $10,000, between 10 and 11,000. So overall, my opinion, yes, it's a little bit more expensive than the average across Burlington County, which again plays into the safer districts, the better school systems, and more.
I always say Medford's a land of opportunity. As someone who grew up in Mount Laurel, lived in Marlton, and of course I've been in mortgages 20 years, same as Matt. So I know all the neighborhoods out there, and you get a lot of towns like the Cherry Hills that you know this neighborhood, you can envision what the house looks like.
Yeah.
They're for more or less of a better term, cookie cutter, where you know what you get. In Medford, so much going on. There's so many nichey little neighborhoods that were built by this builder, that builder. You have custom homes built here and there. So I say it's a land of opportunity because you just never know what's going to come on the market in a certain neighborhood. My first house in Medford was in a neighborhood called Lake Pine. Well, my house was bigger, almost 3,000 square feet. But then again, right down the street, you had smaller homes, 1,200 square foot, 1,500 square, very affordable options, and you're in a lake community.
Yeah.
So you had first-time home buyers that were able to scoop that up and easily be able to afford that versus a larger home. So like I said, land of opportunity in Medford, just all a matter of who you work with. You got to work with a realtor that kind of knows the area and knows what they're doing.
Yeah, and that's us, by the way. So if you need help in Medford, we're happy to help.
Wait, you're a realtor?
Yeah, and by the way, check out the video if you want to see all the neighborhoods in Medford. We took our time out and drove you all around through different neighborhoods. And what I remember, and even selling there's homes that were built in the 60s, which now may need work. So there's opportunity to fix a house up again to where you can get it at a good price. If you're willing to make some sweat equity and stuff like that. And then there's elite homes, right? And elite neighborhoods where the homes are 4,000 plus square feet and
moving ready.
So yeah.
And this is, by the way, that's why you need an agent that has been through the neighborhood. So the boots on the ground. Yeah. I always say that. And how many times before you were looking for a house have you driven by neighborhoods you don't even know they exist?
Yeah.
They're tucked away, especially Medford. It's not like you can see miles away. You're in the woods, right?
Yeah.
You're going down a road. You don't know that this awesome neighborhood is right. You just make a left and a right, all these houses there. That's why you need guys like Matt that scope this out, that stake it out ahead of time and do the research for you.
Yeah, that was actually one of the hardest parts, was to make sure we were filming neighborhoods that weren't too there weren't too many trees, because driving down a tree-covered street, you can't see much.
Doesn't even look like you're in it.
Yeah. So you can barely see houses. But no, we took you through a lot of good neighborhoods in Medford. So, all right, so it's time to rate everything. So pros and cons, we're just going to kind of touch on the list. Population. My opinion, it's a pro, because you're leaving, overpopulated or heavily populated areas.
And who likes people?
Right?
Nobody.
So you agree?
I'd say it's a pro.
All right, school systems with the grades they got, yeah, they're a pro. Yeah. Income and even job opportunity, I'd say that's a pro. It's a high income for the area. Safety. Still a pro.
We're a pro.
Yeah. So outdoors, sports, plenty to do out there. I'm gonna say pro there, right?
It's a pro. Yeah.
So
activities.
Yeah, there's plenty to do out there. When it comes to traffic, I'm gonna say pro and con, right? You're not gonna see much traffic, but you are gonna have to go places, right? And if you want to get to Cherry Hill and other places, you're driving a little bit further.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, it's one of those things, you either accept it or you don't. And for us, we know we're going to drive an extra 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, more than we would living in Cherry Hill, Marlton. It's just, we accept it, and we're good. You said accept it.
Yeah. There's a reason people, just like cities, like when they start moving out to the suburbs, you're just trading time for the size of the home and stuff like that.
100%.
Food, restaurants, I think Medford's got plenty. It may not have as much as, some of the other more populated areas, but, I would say a pro and a con there, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a foodie and you want to be in the city and you love that environment, you want to eat at a different restaurant every night, that's not Medford.
Right.
But, if, there's enough, definitely amazing food, Famina and Odds and PJs and anything else you want, BYO's where I think you're going to get enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And then housing, I'm going to say it's a pro because the value is up so high, but the con is it is a little bit of a higher cost to get in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
overall, the sales price is going to be a bit higher than the norm in the county. So there might be,
Less opportunities.
yeah. So any last words for anybody looking in the Medford area or looking to learn a little bit more about Medford?
Start your research now. Medford is a very unique place, a lot to learn. You got to know the lay of the land. I've been there over a decade and I'm still learning parts of it.
Yeah.
So again, I think the more you could talk to someone like Matt, know your numbers first and know what you can afford. Obviously, numbers make it real. Once it's real, once you have your real budget, then you can talk to someone like Matt and then, really start doing your research. But when those opportunities pop up, like I said, land of opportunity, but limited opportunities because of the market. But when they pop up, you got to pull the trigger right away. That's how you're going to get those houses.
Absolutely. And, one thing in doing the research for shooting these videos, I did find it pretty cool to learn about all the different towns more in depth than just showing homes in them over the last 20 plus years. So it was really cool to learn about Medford. It reminds me of a place where I grew up, kind of remote in northern New Jersey. And it's just a really cool town. So if you ever need us, all of our information is in the description below.
And by the way, you can make this a clip.
Yeah.
Nobody is doing what this guy is doing. taking his time with his film crew and literally driving around every town in South Jersey to show you the ins and outs, the neighborhoods, the differences, what the restaurants are doing, the downtown life. Nobody's taking that time. It would take you weeks and weeks and weeks, part-time job for you to do all the research that him and his team have done. I love being a part of this. I live in Medford, so I'm doing Medford, but he's done all these towns. It's all on his YouTube channel. I would just strongly advise you want to do your research, look everything up and talk to this guy.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one.
Yes, sir.
All right.